The Comfortably Zoned Radio Network presents Weighted Donuts with your hosts Wayne Unger and Craig Stier.
And hello again, everybody. Welcome to this week's show of Weighted Donuts. I'm Wayne Unger. I'm here with my co-host Craig Stier. Welcome, Craig. How are you tonight?
I'm fine, Wayne. How are you? As we actually, I was going to say slowly approach the trading deadline, but it's really not so slow. We're about 10 days away, correct?
We're 10 days. We're exactly. Well, it's actually yes. They extended it to August 1st, but basically it's 10 days, just about, maybe 11. Hey, who's counting? Except for the teams looking to trade. So lots of lots of rumors flying around, and players that supposedly. Go ahead.
Yeah, this week is it's one of my favorite. I don't know how you feel about it. It's one of my favorite periods of the baseball season. I always like after the season, the hot stove stuff. But I always find this intriguing. The weeks leading up to the short period that we're about to enter now, when teams, have been playing with the whole notion of whether or not they're going to be sellers or buyers. And as time has gone on, year after year, this short period has become so important. I always think back to 2004 when being a Yankee fan, when I remember listening at the end of the day, WFAN was summing up all the trades, and all the transactions, and the last trade that they went over, and it may have been the last one that even occurred, but it was the last one they announced, was that the Red Sox getting Dave Roberts from either the Padres or the Dodgers, I can't remember which, but thinking how insignificant. I mean, what a silly, because they had moved Nomar and they'd done so many, they'd made so many trades, and thinking how insignificant Dave Roberts, picking him up was. And of course, that turned out not to be all that insignificant, correct?
Absolutely correct. It was, he actually turned out he was key, and not in a good way for anyone who is a Yankee fan.
No, not at all. So who do you think's moving, and what do you think's happening here, Wayne? This is your time of year. I know you love this stuff.
I do, but it's who do I think is moving? Well, I tell you, I did read something today that came from came from John Heyman, and there is the possibility. It's actually a realistic possibility that the Yankees will cut Mark Teixeira, and the only reason I like that is because that kind of leads me to believe that they are gonna be sellers, and it would be crazy for them to drop a young player on the 40-man roster if they have to make room by getting a couple of prospects that they need to put on the 40-man roster. It would be shameful if Mark Teixeira took up a spot. They're not, in spite of winning 4 in a row, even though they lost today, in spite of winning 4 in a row, I'm a realistic Yankee fan, not a delusional one. They don't have a chance, and you might as well cut bait with him. He's a free agent at the end of the year, So it doesn't matter. You're not getting anything for your money now. So, but who they're going to trade, I don't know. I would think Aroldis Chapman is probably a really good bet to be traded. Carlos Beltran is probably a good bet to be traded. Possibly Brett Gardner. And it wouldn't shock me if, they trade, if someone took a shot with Ivan Nova, thinking maybe they'll catch lightning in a bottle. Maybe they see something in him. He hasn't pitched well, but he has shown that good sinker at different times. So, as far, that's who I think. I'm hearing, there's some steam picking up on the Mets looking for starting pitching. But I don't know. Starting pitching is not cheap on the trade market. And so I don't know if they'd be looking to trade a player on the major league roster or if they're going to dip into their farm system again. I don't know.
Do you think that if the Yankees actually cut Teixeira, does a team out there pick Teixeira up? I mean, he's injury ravaged. He just got hurt again the other day. He fouled the ball off his foot. I know he hit a home run yesterday and whatnot, but I know he's still he's still a good defensive first baseman. He hasn't hit for anything. He's hitting below 200. Does someone pick him up?
Considering that it'll pretty much be for free or for the major league minimum, always a possibility. Always a possibility. Particularly, let's see. Prince Fielder might be out for the season. There's a possibility. I don't know. But, but speaking of which, there's a lot of teams out there that are in a position to make a move, and I don't, even though the Cubs made a deal, yesterday, they acquired Mike Montgomery, but he's not an Andrew Miller, he's not an Aroldis Chapman, so I wouldn't be shocked if, they're still buzzing around in the water. I think the Giants probably can use a Miller or a Chapman. I know they have the best record in baseball right now, but, their bullpen is still, I think they can use that stopper. Texas, of course. We discussed this last week. Texas, of course, can use a stopper. If the Dodgers think that they're still in it, and with Kershaw possibly being out for the season, I wonder if they're going to be rethinking it. But if the Dodgers think they're still in it, I think, like I said last week, Andrew Miller is a perfect fit for them because he's got 2 more years on his contract. And Kenley Jansen, I don't believe will return. It was well publicized that he was not happy that the Dodgers had initially made a trade for Aroldis Chapman and were going to make him the closer. So, but, and speaking of the Dodgers, tell me something. Let me ask you this. Would you trade Andrew Miller and Brett Gardner for Yasiel Puig and a decent prospect?
Well, before I answer that, I read that the Dodgers have been talking to the Devil Rays about Longoria for Puig, in part. And to me, that's just a remarkable possibility. But the Dodgers, before I answer that, the Dodgers, if Kershaw is injured, I don't know what they could possibly be thinking. If he's out for the season, they're done. They're not that good of a team to begin with, I don't think. I don't know how you feel about that, but without Kershaw,
I agree.
But so getting back to your hypothetical, Puig is just a glorious question mark, a tremendous enigma. Can he be as good as Cespedes? I don't know. I work with a guy who's a huge Dodger fan, and he comes in shaking his head, several times a week, because he just thinks, Puig's a hot dog, and, a diva, and more trouble than he's worth. I don't know. I give up Brett Gardner in a second. I've got no problem with that. Andrew Miller is a guy that I'd like to keep. I know that may be silly and counterintuitive to some extent. But if I'm a team and if I'm a team other than the Yankees and I'm looking at the Yankees roster, if I'm a team that needs a closer, I mean, the Yankees really, it would be insane not to move Chapman, because he's going to be a free agent. If you want to sign him again, if you decided you want him so badly, so you can go out and sign him, during the off season. You might as well get something for him once you make the decision that you're going to be a seller.
Oh, I agree. See, now here my thinking is, trade them both. Okay. And
I don't like the idea.
Wait, let me finish. Wait. No, listen. Trade them both, because with the idea that you can re-sign Chapman at the end of the year, after the season, and as a free agent, and now you have a back-end bullpen instead of Miller and Betances, you have Chapman and Betances. And now listen, that's just something, the Puig-Miller thing is just something that popped up in my head. I don't know if Miller would be enough to get Puig. And, there are, even though Puig hasn't been so much of a hot dog this year, he's played excellent defense. We haven't seen those bonehead, plays in the outfield. He's throwing to the right base, and I'm seeing a lot of positives, and he isn't hitting for much power, but he is starting to hit the ball a little bit. I think he has the potential to be way better than Cespedes, because he doesn't strike out as much and he walks more. He's got more speed. But if you bring
him in, are you closing? I mean, he's a right fielder. I don't know. I don't follow the Dodgers closely enough to know if you can put him in center or left. But if you bring him in, what are you saying to Aaron Judge? If he can only play, right, I don't know.
Well, why couldn't Aaron Judge play left? Or why couldn't Puig play left? But Puig has played center. Puig actually, not last year, but the year before, Puig had quite a few games in center. Maybe 50 even. But, I think, one of them would move. And left field's, it's, you need a guy in Yankee Stadium, you need a guy particularly for the gap, the left center gap, you need a guy with an arm. You need a guy that can cover some ground. And the other thing is, I think Puig would embrace New York. He does like the big city. And on top of that, there are, in New Jersey, there are many Cuban communities, So I think all in all, it would be a good fit. But like I say, I haven't read anything at all. This is just something I just thought about myself that I thought would be, an interesting concept. I've also heard about the Dodgers, being in on Chris Archer. So
yeah, right. Who's having he's having a terrible season.
He is, but a lot of it is, I tell you, I don't know how you feel about sabermetrics, but I find some stats useful, and a lot of his peripherals are good. He's getting hit high on this stat called batted balls in play, and there are just there's just a lot of different things that can a lot of things that can contribute to that. So his strikeouts are up there. He's not walking a ton of people. You never know. I don't know if he would cost a lot if anyone wanted him. He would cost a lot, but he's actually coming into play. There's also a lot of talk. The Rays actually are looking to trade Matt Moore, Jake Odorizzi. So you can see that.
You'd think the Mets would be interested in Matt Moore, right?
You would think, but again, but what do the Mets? I don't know what the Mets really have to trade. I'm not as high on their farm system as Frank is. They have Rosario, who's to me, he's the stud of their farm system. After that, they have good prospects. I still consider Nimmo a prospect, Dilson Herrera. But time is running out for Montero. That guy, Gabriel Yanoa, he's good, but he doesn't miss a lot of bats. So I don't know what they can give up for him. That seems to be the problem. Although I would definitely roll the dice. You know what I would do? Here's an interesting concept, and I don't know if they can pull it off because he's had so many setbacks. I would take a chance if they would, and trade Zach Wheeler to the Rays if the Rays would take him while he's still rehabbing for Matt Moore. That's something I would do. But but there's so much more out there. The Indians need bullpen help. Now the Rangers need pitching help, even though they're in first place. The Astros, can use a little, need a stopper in the bullpen. So.
Well, it's all interesting, and I guess we'll see how that plays out. Where do you think a guy like Carlos Beltran might end up? In the National League as a DH, or do you think there's a possibility that he'll be moved to an American League squad?
Well, you got to find. You got to take a look at the American League. Cleveland's a possibility. It doesn't look like Michael Brantley's coming back. He's a possibility. The Rangers just lost Prince Fielder and Sun Chin Chu. So I guess there's a possibility there in the American League. In the National League, in the National League, the Nationals can use an outfielder, but really they need a center fielder. So unless they were going to move Harper into center, I don't know if he'd be a fit. The Cardinals are a little down in the outfield. They're not really even the Giants can use a solid outfielder, but I don't know if I think I don't know how a National League team feels about putting Carlos Beltran out there every day in the field.
Right. I know that he really began to turn the season around with the Yankees when he started DHing a little more frequently.
Oh, it was huge.
True.
When Alex Rodriguez went on the DL, I mean, yeah, it took the wear and tear off his legs. So it'll be, and there's a lot of teams out there that that are looking at. I mean, the A's are hoping to trade Rich Hill, but he keeps having an injury setback. It seems to be a blister, but it's a setback. I think the Braves would like to unload a few more guys and load up again. And then you have teams. And you have teams that'll be interesting to see whether or not they become buyers or sellers.
What did you think of the Red Sox move to get Pomerantz from the Padres?
Well, I mean, I think lefties scare me in Fenway Park. And they really gave up a good prospect. I mean, they gave up like a top 20, not of their own. They gave up like one of the top 20 prospects in Major League Baseball in Anderson Espinoza. And it's funny, like, I tell you, I play this game, Diamond Mine Baseball, and Sam, and for those of you out there that don't know, Sam is my oldest son. So Sam's in the league, and Sam has Drew Pomerantz. And as soon as they traded him to Boston, he says, "Oh no," he says he was worried about him getting hit, and he got rocked. Listen, it was his first start there. Maybe he'll adjust. Maybe he'll realize he has to pitch a little differently in the park. I don't know, but left-handers over the years not too successful when to my recollection.
No. Just wary of. I'd always be wary of trading for these National League can't miss pitchers. The National League, I don't know. It's a different world coming to the American League. I could be wrong about this. It's just the way I feel.
Oh no! I'll Javier Vasquez.
Hitter.
Javier Vasquez.
Don't even bring that name up, please.
Okay, lights out in the National League, comes to the Yankees. Got touched up a bit, goes back to the National League and pitches great.
And then comes back to the Yankees.
And gets touched up.
Yeah, that wasn't a great pickup, but that's another story. Somebody told me that the trout is available. I don't mean your local fish market. I mean the Angels would consider moving him. We talked about this weeks ago. We touched upon it weeks ago. Is there any way in the world they should contemplate moving him?
Absolutely not.
I agree. That would just be terrible.
I mean, Well, all right. No, let me rephrase that. Okay. Would I trade Mike Trout? Okay. If we're talking about you see, it depends what. You see, first of all, there has to be a really good major league player coming back, and like a couple of like can't miss stud top of the line prospects. I don't mean top of somebody's organization. I also mean someone who's rated in the top 50 in all of baseball. Two guys. So, how can I say? So let's say the Red Sox wanted Mike Trout. Well, if they were willing to trade Mookie Betts and two of their top prospects, like maybe something like that. But beyond that, I'm sure I can come up with another name and a couple other prospects. But like we still got to be talking at like a young, consistent all-star level guy. Maybe not a superstar level guy, but an all-star level guy with some, like I say, some really, really heady prospects. So I haven't read anything, and I've been scouring, the web for all kinds of rumors and tidbits, and trying to, filter out what I think is just absolute nonsense and rumor, and what might have a little possibility or makes a little sense, whether or not it's going to happen or not. And I have not read anything about Mike Trout being traded. And I think, when did we talk about it last? It was at least a month ago or more. So yeah, I don't think there's any legs to that. So no Mike Trout. So hey, tell me something. I want to change the subject a little bit.
Sure.
The Hall of Fame.
That's right.
Okay.
That's this weekend.
Yes. Hall of Fame. Okay, so I'm looking at the 2016 Hall of Fame ballot. Okay? And I'm going to go through 1 through 20. Okay, we know Griffey was 1, Piazza was 2, and I mean Griffey was a no-brainer, and I feel I'm sorry, just because a guy, supposedly has back acne. I'm sorry, but like, you can't accuse him of something, and even when he was with the Dodgers, when he was a young kid, he had a huge forehead. So, I'm sorry, he always had a big head. So, he's good. All right, number 3, Jeff Bagwell. He got 71.6% of the vote. Do you consider him a Hall of Famer?
I think that he's so damn close. I'm one of the few people, I think, I didn't see him play all that much. I'm an American League fan. I can't tell you I think he's the greatest. He deserves to be in there. But if he missed by 4 percentage points last year, and I know his stats are pretty damn good, he probably is a Hall of Famer. I'd have to say he probably is a Hall of Famer. He's so damn close. I mean, what do you think?
I think he's really, really, really close, but no cigar. And by the way, now do you remember that? Do you remember how the Astros got him? Deadline deal.
Yes.
Larry Anderson, reliever. He was originally
the Red
Sox. The Astros got him from the Red Sox. Larry Anderson. The Larry Anderson. Okay.
Yeah.
4th place, Tim Raines, 69.8% of the vote. Is he a Hall of Famer? All right, I'm going to go first. Absolutely.
I mean, he was besides Ricky Henderson. I mean, he was the best leadoff hitter in baseball for one of the best leadoff hitters in baseball. He made that Montreal Expo team go. I know the two of us probably have a soft spot in our hearts for him because of the time he spent with the Yankees, where, you know, a very, very good ball player was relegated to not getting tons of time, but he performed real well here. I'd have to look closer at the stats and everything, but again, he's very close also, and I've got no problem with him going into the Hall of Fame. Who's next?
Okay. I mean, he also had a lot of good years with Chicago, even after Montreal. Next, Trevor Hoffman.
Well, I guess you can get there can be a wide-ranging debate on Trevor Hoffman, and I don't really think it's fair. I've heard that, saves in San Diego are not the same as saves on the East Coast, and, he played, his games were meaningless. They weren't meaningless. I think that anyone who's got a problem with him going to the Hall of Fame is wrong. The numbers are staggering. I mean, except for Mariano, his numbers are staggering. I think it's a no-brainer. I don't think he's the greatest thing in the world, but I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, he's a closer, and closers, they don't belong in the Hall. That's nonsense. Also, his numbers are staggering.
Okay,
he's a Hall of Famer.
Let me just go to number 12 before I go back to number 6. Lee Smith.
Well, I need to know where he is on the career list and whatnot.
Okay, well,
he's pretty damn close, also. Again, I'd be hypocritical if I was going to sit here and say, well, no, I don't believe that that level of closer should get in, and a guy like Hoffman shouldn't. I mean, Hoffman's numbers are. I'm guessing he's got 100 more saves than Lee Smith.
He does.
Yeah,
but okay.
Lee Smith, again, it's easy to debate that. I would say no to Lee Smith, but again, I'd have to study the numbers a little bit more. But
okay.
Lee Smith's not making the Hall of Fame. I don't think that would be, criminal.
Okay. Kurt Schilling is number 6.
I hate the guy so much, being a Yankee fan or whatnot. But when push comes to shove, he pitched on three championship teams: the Phillies, the Diamondbacks, and the Red Sox. I hate the guy. I do. I can't stand him. But he may be a Hall of Fame pitcher. I mean, he's got a ton of strikeouts. He's a damn good pitcher. What do you think?
It's so close. It's so close.
Is he closer? Is he closer than?
But here's the thing. I'll put it to you like this, and it's what. Who was it that mentioned Don Drysdale? I was having a conversation. Was this on the show? Did this come up? I'm trying to remember. I was having a conversation with somebody, and they said someone should be a Hall of Famer, and then they mentioned, well, but Don Drysdale was in with 216 wins as well, or something like that. So, and Kurt Schilling, I think, has 216 wins. So, I would have to say, if Don Drysdale was in the Hall of Fame, then I would have to think that Kurt, if that's the bar, Kurt Schilling should be in the Hall. The only thing is, I also say this: just because someone is in the Hall that shouldn't be, or is, a little questionable, that doesn't mean you should put another questionable guy in. But
yeah,
I will have to say, I'll have to say yes, though. I mean, more than a strikeout in inning, 216 wins, 146 losses. So, great winning percentage. And again, he was, he 3 championship teams that he was a major cog of.
I haven't heard an outcry over the years about Drysdale not being in the Hall of Fame. You hear an outcry about Bill Hodges not being in the Hall of Fame. Don Drysdale.
No. Drysdale is in the Hall. He's in.
He is. Okay.
He is in. So what I'm saying is, if Drysdale is in, then I would have to say Schilling should be in.
Right. I agree with that.
Okay. Now, I'm gonna lump them together because they're both 7th and 8th. They both have very, one's like 45%, one's 44%, and both of them only have that percentage because of, other things that happened in their careers, or allegedly, or probably, Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds.
Well, I don't know where you come down on this. I cannot see excluding those guys from the Hall of Fame. And I'm not into the whole asterisk thing either. Somehow saying they're there, but maybe they shouldn't be there. I don't know how to handle this. I don't know if there's an adjunct space next to the Hall of Fame for guys who excelled during the steroid era. I don't know what the answer is, but I do know this. Bonds was a hell of a ball player, a remarkable ball player, arguably before he started juicing. And the numbers are so overinflated. I mean, it's crazy. But to turn your back on these guys and the numbers they put up there, I think that's shortchanging them. Clemens, I mean, really, it's interesting that they have the same percentage-wise number of votes because they really are, 1 and 1A in this debate because, one's the pitching side and one's the batting side. It's such a crazy thing. Andro and all that kind of stuff that McGuire was using.
It was more than Andro because Andro was legal when McGuire used it. He didn't hide it. Yeah. Andro was legal.
Right. And I don't know what anyone else was using. I don't know what Randy Velarde was using. I don't know what these guys were using. At the time they were using it, steroids were illegal. They weren't illegal.
Well, steroids themselves, were illegal. They weren't so much banned in baseball, but they were illegal. They were prescription.
But the bottom line is you got a prescription. But if you got a prescription, you're fine. So there's a gray area in baseball during that time, whether it was something that you could get a GNC like Andro, or it was something more substantial like a steroid, an anabolic steroid or whatever. Major League Baseball wasn't addressing that. So excuse me?
No, I agree. If anything, they turned their back to it because, the offense was just bringing the fans out in droves. I'll tell you, here's how I look. I mean, one, and I've said this before, I think it was a level playing field. I think there were way more plays using it than we can even imagine. Here's the difference that I have between Bonds and Clemens, and I'm not saying Clemens shouldn't be in, but the difference is Bonds was still performing at he was at the top of the game, and then just and then he elevated like into the stratosphere. There will always be that question in my mind. Roger Clemens had like 4 up and down years, never replicating his dominant years. His last 4 years in Boston were kind of, wishy-washy. And then all of a sudden he got to Toronto. He all of a sudden now he's a 20-game winner again. So that's the one thing that's in my mind as to, did steroids put Bonds in the stratosphere? I'm wondering if steroids or PEDs, let's for that, if PEDs resurrected Clemens' career and kept it going. That's the only thing in my mind. But I believe they probably should. They both should be in. I mean, I think we're just past it all. It's for us to think that it was just these few guys that were named is absolutely ridiculous. So Brady Anderson wasn't named in the Mitchell report, but he went from 14 to 15 homers in 1 year. So like. And there were many more like that. Like you say, Randy Velarde. You had Jason Grimsley got caught. So it wasn't only hitters, it was pitchers. So yeah, I mean, I would have to say yes, they should both be in. But I do have that one question about Clemens, that steroid, PEDs might have resurrected his career. With Bonds, it just took it to another level. Okay, number 9. Always a debate, and I'm going to say right off the bat, I think he's a really close but no cigar. Edgar Martinez.
I go the other way on that one. He was the best designated hitter. It's like Ryan Sandberg was the best second baseman during his playing era. Edgar Martinez was the best designated hitter, head and shoulders above anyone else. I have no problem with him going in the Hall of Fame. It's a position.
Okay.
I can't stand the argument. Oh, he's just a designated hitter. Oh, this guy's he's just a closer. I mean, if you're outstanding at your position, you're the preeminent player in your position during the decade or the 15 years you played baseball, then you've got to be considered for the Hall of Fame. And Edgar Martinez could freaking hit. Yeah. Okay, so if you say no to him, what do you say to Ortiz? Is Ortiz a slam dunk? I guess Ortiz has to be a slam dunk despite the PED concerns and whatnot, but that's another argument. Go ahead. Well, who's next?
Okay. Who's next? Wait, bear with me. I just lost the list. Hold on, wait, because what happened here? My computer is spinning, and I'm not happy. Wait, there we go. Okay. Oh, another interesting. Mike Messina.
To me, he's the poster child for, a guy who just barely misses.
Yeah.
It pains me to say that because it's not like he missed 300 wins by a ton. Wait, how many did he have?
He had 270. He was 270 and 153. And don't forget, he pitched a good number of years in Camden Yards and it hit his ballpark.
I mean, he's well over 100 games over 500. I mean, that's he's impressive. I always liked him a lot. He won 20 right at the end, right? His last season or whatever. Never won a Cy Young. I don't know.
He's close, and I don't know exactly. I have to say, I don't know. Okay. Alan Trammell.
I don't know why a guy like this doesn't get enough play, because he was a great ball player, and in my book, he's a Hall of Famer. Now, statistically, he probably falls way short, but he and Lou Whitaker were just terrific. I don't know, he's a Hall of Famer, but statistically, he probably isn't, right? I mean, his numbers are not that great.
They're not.
He was a great all-around player.
I don't know. I have to put him about as close as you can get without getting the cigar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think that's where we are in your list right now. These guys, they're damn good ball players. They've stayed on the ballot for a number of years for good reason. I mean, they belong on the ballot. They just probably don't belong in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
But the Hall of Fame is so special,
All right. There's a guy on this list. I'll tell you what. I'm going to run the names. I'm going to do the rest after Trammell is Lee Smith. So I'm going to give you 13 through 20. Okay. And there's one guy in that 13 through 20 who I think is really like a maybe. Okay.
All right.
So,
give me the names, and I'll tell you which one I thought.
Wait. I'm going to go through the seven. All right. Fred McGriff, Jeff Kent, Larry Walker, Mark McGuire, Gary Sheffield, Billy Wagner, Sammy Sosa, Jim Edmonds.
Well, Fred McGriff.
And McGuire was not the guy who I have on my mind.
Yeah, I mean, Fred McGriff, I think, has 493 home runs. Fred McGriff is a Hall of Famer, in my book, and so is the Yankees.
Sheffield.
Yeah, Sheffield. Sheffield was fantastic.
Sheffield was my guy who I picked. Yes, I felt as though Sheffield. Yes, I look at it like this. I mean, if Jim Rice is in the Hall of Fame, then Gary Sheffield is slam dunk.
Well, okay, I agree with that, but I mean, what about McGriff? Gotta look at his numbers.
No, you know what? If I think, all right, Fred McGriff, 493 homers, lifetime 284, 377, 509, and 886 OPS. Okay. I tell you what, if I think Jeff Bagwell is a close but no cigar, then I definitely got to put McGriff as a close but no cigar.
Okay, I can live with that.
So beyond that, it's like, I mean, well, once you get past, all right, but while we're on this list, all right, two interesting guys, McGuire and Sosa. What do you think about that?
What was that?
Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa. They're on that 13 through 20 list.
Well, they're the next. They're not Bonds and Clemens. They're the next level. I probably don't put Sosa in. Well, I don't know. I mean, they got the numbers. I don't know. Too tough. It's too late in the evening for me to think this thing through. To me, they're Hall of Famers, but they're in that adjunct hall. McGuire numbers are staggering. Sosa numbers staggering. But having said that, their numbers are inflated, so they go in that adjunct. They're Hall of Famers, but they're in that adjunct hall.
Okay. Well, listen, we can wrap it up, and we'll be back this time next week. And guess what? The trade deadline will not be over. It's going to be quite interesting.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have a good guest we can discuss some of this with, but at the very least, we will be closer to the deadline, and maybe we'll know a few more things at that time. So have a great week. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week with Weighted Donuts. Have a good week, Wayne.
Thank you. You too, Craig. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.